there's someone out there that needs exactly what you have to say. And so don't deprive them of that message because you think that there's this like invisible milestone or goalpost that you have to hit in order to do it.
Welcome to the Kindness Podcast. I'm Nicole Phillips, and today I get to talk with Jess Ekstrom. Jess is a best-selling author. She's a social entrepreneur. She has been featured on The Today Show, Good Morning America, Vanity Fair, Forbes, just to name a few. And yeah, she is all of the things. She is a total powerhouse. But here's what I want you to know about Jess. She seems to imagine the world she wants to live in, and then she goes out and creates it. And she believes very deeply in the power of women to lift up women. Jess Ekstrom.
Hello, hello.
Hi. So what else do you want to add in that I didn't say in the beginning?
Oh my gosh. I think the other big thing in my life is I'm a mom of two under two right now. And so life is a little chaotic, but we're rolling with it.
Okay, awesome. I'm assuming that you have backup, like lots and lots and lots of backup.
Very fortunate to have grandparents that live close by, my mom and dad, who are so helpful. And of course, my husband, who also works at my business. And so we're like, trying to figure it out along the way for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's one of the pillars that you talk about too, right? Is that you go messy and you do it and you figure it out.
Yeah. And I think, I want my kids to see us trying and see mommy go speak and see me try things that also don't work too. I think it's important for them to like see kind of the realm of life through our eyes of going for it.
Yeah. Do you have boys or girls?
A girl and a boy. Yeah. It's one of each.
Awesome. So I am really curious about your backstory because you seem to give a lot. You seem to care a lot. You seem to lift up people a lot. But I feel like people do what they do for a reason because something happened to them in their life at one point. Would you drop into your story wherever you find it appropriate, whatever you want to share, and let us know kind of what created you to be you?
Yeah. I think growing up, I remember watching my dad come home from work one day and say that he wanted to start a business. He wanted to leave this day job that he had and pursue his idea. And so I think like watching him renovate the upstairs bathroom into his office, this is like way before work from home was really a thing. Then watching my mom, start working for the business as well. I had this front row seat to like watching someone take like the road less traveled and go for it. And so that was just this little seed that was planted in my head. And then, when I got to a point when I was in college and I was interning for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I was seeing a lot of kids lose their hair to chemotherapy and they'd be offered wigs or hats. I saw that a lot of them wanted to wear headbands and no one was providing that. And so this was like this spark of a business idea that I had to give headbands to kids with illnesses. And I think because I had seen that in my own house, it made that leap of like, here's an idea and now I can go do it possible. But it was not something that was like fire right out of the gate by any means. Like my first order was from my mom. My second order was from my grandpa. But it eventually turned into something really awesome. And we donated millions of headbands to kids all over the world. And through that, the one thing that I was able to like know how to do, I didn't know like advertising. I didn't know a lot about running a business, but I was able to talk about it. And so I would spend, time speaking in college classrooms, elementary schools, telling people about what I was building with Headbands of Hope, and then learned if I could actually not just tell them what I'm doing with my business, but something that they can then go learn from my story and go do, then this is a whole industry behind it and of public speaking. And so that was how I was able to raise awareness for the business, was through speaking. And it was also how I was able to like self-fund it. The money that I would get from speaking, I'd put it back into the business. And then when Headbands of Hope got acquired, my next business idea was helping women become speakers, because I'm sure, Nicole, you've seen, like, you're out there sometimes and you realize, oh, I'm the only woman in this lineup, or I'm the only woman in this room. And I found that was a pretty common story. So Mic Drop Workshop is what I do today.
I feel like women, I don't know that I've met a woman who doesn't have something really important to say. I think we feel deeply, and I'm not saying that men don't, but I think that we feel deeply. And then we get quiet. What is that?
Yeah, I'm curious why you think that too, but I think it's like just years of conditioning to ask for permission, to not be too loud, to not be so assertive. But there are ways that you can communicate while still like embracing what makes you a woman or what makes you you. I think a lot of times we think that in order to be like an effective speaker or communicator, we need to act more like a man. We need to be louder, more direct, lower our voice. But there are so many qualities that women have that are like natural qualities of nurturing, asking questions, that make us great leaders and great communicators. So that's like one of the things that I really care a lot about in Mic Drop, is not having to step into a role to speak. It's more about amplifying who you already are.
So you have created this space somehow where women are all coming together for the Mic Drop workshop. And that's the curious thing to me, is like, how does it not become a place where women are looking at other women and saying, why do I even try? Because she's got it made.
Yeah, and comparing. It's such a great question, Nicole, and something that literally when I started Mic Drop Workshop, another speaker said to me, this is great, but why are you creating your own competition? And I was like, okay, that's a really interesting question, because it has never passed through my brain that way. And I was trying to understand why. And I think a couple of reasons. One, speaking can be such a collaborative industry. If you speak at a conference, they're probably not going to book you that next year because they need another speaker. And so for me to go speak at an event and finish and say, are you looking for other speakers? Let me suggest Nicole Phillips. That is no skin off of my back to be able to do that, and a really great way to keep passing women the microphone without feeling like it's taking away opportunity from you. And then that becomes what we call speaker sisters, where it's like you find someone who has a complementary message to yours. Maybe you're in the same price point and you refer each other. And so it makes this process of like finding opportunities a lot easier. But then when it comes to comparing and creating your own competition, I was like, I don't see it that way, because I'm not creating my own competition. I'm creating, like, this sounds very lofty, but the future that I want to live in, the future that I want my daughter and son to live in. I want them to be able to go to a conference and see women keynotes. I want them to be able to turn on their TV or go in the like business section of Barnes and Noble and see like women on the covers. I mean, less than 30% of paid speakers are women. And so it's not about the competition. It's about creating the future and the environment that I want to live in. But I mean, I think it's only natural to have that like element of comparison. But some of the things that I say is like, you know, some people are like, well, I can't talk about vulnerability. Brene Brown already talks about vulnerability. It's like, well, yes, but also people can't talk about vulnerability through your story. No one has your story. So your story makes familiar concepts like vulnerability or confidence feel new. And also, not everyone can afford to book Brene Brown to come to their event. I like joke, I'm like the Kirkland brand Sarah Blakely. Not everyone can afford to bring Sarah Blakely, to their event, but they can maybe can afford Jess Ekstrom.
I dig that. I've not thought of it that way, but I have thought of it just that each of us has our own different sphere of influence. And like, if you've ever read a book and you're like, that book didn't really land with me, but you read another book in the same topic by somebody else and you're like, wow, like, yes,
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Each
Yeah.
of us tells our story our own way.
Totally. And I think another thing that I see that holds women back from entering the space of like speaking or thought leadership is the belief that they have to have reached this like expert level of knowledge in order to begin. And I think that like even the belief that you are an expert is like the biggest thief of you succeeding in this, because in order to succeed at being a thought leader, you have to constantly be the student. You have to constantly be questioning, looking, like furthering your knowledge in this. So I like to say, well, like, what are you 10% ahead on? What can you, like, if you're at a dinner party and someone says, hey, can you speak on something for 30 minutes? What is it that you say? What is a consistent question that people come to you for advice for? Or if I gave you $10,000 to buy a billboard on your like local highway and you could put one phrase on it, what would you say? And so it's kind of like, instead of thinking, what am I the expert on? You know, what is a consistent theme in my life? What's a course that keeps popping up? Or what's something I can speak on unprompted that I'm so passionate about? And that's what you should start to pursue, not something you feel like you know everything about.
Yeah, I don't ever want to be called a kindness expert because that holds you to a level like, I don't want to be there. And I went to Costco yesterday, and as I was walking through Costco, I thought, holy smokes, my mind is not, like, there is nothing kind happening in my brain right now.
Isn't that funny? Okay, I feel like Costco, airports, the same thing happens to me. I'm like, who am I that I am like trying to cut the line to get a sample of this like cereal? Like, what am I
Out of my
doing?
way.
Yeah, exactly. I really have to check myself.
Totally. Yeah, and when you say, what is it that you would put on a billboard? I mean, mine is like, I feel like the world needs a pep talk. We need a pep talk, and we need some really good tools to shift our mindset. And so I was researching your current book and your new book.
Yeah.
And I feel like, well, the current book, Chasing the Bright Side, is all about optimism, which like we could get into. I do want to get into that. But the new book, let's talk about that. Making It Without Losing It. Is that a working title or is that a real title?
It's a real title.
Okay. And that one, if I'm understanding this right, is how to stay motivated, how to shift your mindset. And so I feel like, oh my goodness, it is a pep talk with real life tools.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate it. And this is actually so fun because it comes out in May, 2026. And so this is the first time I've really been able to talk about it. And I think maybe you can relate to this, but it's the reason why I wrote this book was I was constantly chasing like the feeling of done, or the feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of fulfillment of like, when do I know that I've made it? And every single time you reach something, you just realize you have more left to go. Yep. And so I just realized, I'm like, can my ambition towards the future and peace in the present exist at the same time? Like, can we be happy with ourselves while still unfinished? And so Making It Without Losing It is about how to keep that motivation in a world where there isn't finish lines, there's no gold stars, there's probably no one telling you great job like you want them to. Because that's like, as a people pleaser and someone who's constantly chasing the approval of others, is something that I deeply struggle with, is like, well, how do I know that I've made it? And I found there was a lot of ways that I was looking in the wrong places for that.
Do you ever just feel defeated?
All the time. I mean, talk about an hour ago. I was supposed to have this meeting, and then they canceled last minute, and not that it was like the end of the world, but for, those mornings where sometimes things are just like hit you differently. Yeah.
Today, yes, thank you. And I
Yeah.
catastrophize. Everything is wrong in the world today because the day started out,
Yes.
right? Okay, so
Yes.
carry on with feeling defeated.
No, but it's the same thing, Nicole, where it's like one moment that all of a sudden generalizes, you generalize to every area of your life. You're like, this thing didn't go right, therefore I'm a terrible mother, I'm a terrible boss, my husband and I, we're struggling, and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, I really take one loose thread and just yank it all the way down when I could
Hmm.
have just sewn it. And so it's something that I'm working on. And I think that this also goes back to thought leadership, where a lot of times you teach the thing that you need to hear the most.
Amen, sister. Yes.
I mean, talking about you, Nicole, with Costco, it's like kindness is something that you have to work on. And so
Hmm.
a lot of times we think, well, I have to be the person that knows everything about this topic. No, it's usually the topic that you've needed to work on the most. No one wants to hear someone that says, well, I was just born kind and I've never had to work on it. No one's ever pissed me off. No one's ever, I've just, wake up every day with glass half full. No, you want to hear from someone that's like, man, I really had a moment this morning that I
Yep.
had to work on this, which
Yeah.
is me with ambition and not constantly trying to chase the approval of others.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, that's where it comes down to mindset for me too, because I'm like, wow, it is a constant battle in my brain to
Yeah.
choose optimism, right? To choose it, to practice it, yeah. And so chasing the bright side, speaking of your book that is currently out. So,
Yeah.
everybody, you can read Chasing the Bright Side right now. And then in May 2026, you can go out and you can get Making It Without Losing It. So, what do you say to people who just say, you know what, my brain is an unlit parking lot, and and those thoughts park wherever they want,
Yeah.
and can't do anything
Yeah.
about it. Can't do anything about it. It's just the way I am. It's the way I'm
I
wired.
love that metaphor of an unlit parking lot. That's a really good one. So I would say the thing that people get wrong about optimism is that they think it's this like toxic positivity that we have to
Yep.
force the good. And I think that I had to learn optimism less as a mood of like a strategy, or less as a mood of like happiness and more of a strategy of progress, because we can't create like good things without believing that there can be good. And so we won't ever have the forward thinking or the forward ideas if we're not thinking about how things could be done better. So I would say like optimism isn't about forcing yourself to be happy or to be positive. It's actually about sitting in the bad and realizing, how could this be done better? One of the quotes from my talk that usually gets people thinking differently about it is that hard times actually give us a choice. They can be the excuse to do less, or they can be the reason to do more. And optimism is about absorbing hard times as the reason to do more instead of the excuse to do less. So optimism is actually at its like greatest superpower in the dark parking lot, which I love that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get super practical,
Yeah.
because we can say the beautiful words and create the beautiful metaphors of this light in the dark parking lot. But holy Hannah, when somebody wakes up in the morning, or, this happened or that happened, and they just think, what do I have to get? I have nothing to give this world. Like, how do we take this and flip it?
Yeah.
What's the
Well,
practical tip?
it's funny. I was giving this talk at Kraft Heinz, and this woman came up to me after, and she was like, look, love what you're talking about. I think it's great, but sometimes I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I say to myself, it's just ketchup. Like, I'm not doing something big. I'm just selling ketchup. And she's like, what do I do in this moment? And I said, it reminded me of this story of my friend Carly, who's a producer on American Idol. And she came to me one day and was like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I should be curing cancer. I should be saving lives. And then she said, I had this revelation. The people who are curing cancer, the people who are saving lives, need trash reality TV to watch at the end of the
Yes.
day. And so I think that it's like, even though that it was, a funny joke, it really did make me think about how do we fuse like what we're doing with why we're doing that and make it an active practice. So when you think about your role or your job or parenting and the things that you do every day, how can you connect all like the like tiring, boring, tedious stuff to the betterment of a person at the end of it? And it switches from like I'm selling blank or I'm doing blank to I'm serving this person. And so I think like when you're in the dark and wondering like I don't know how the motivation is gone, I'd say like do your best to connect the dots instead of checking the boxes. Like most of the time we're just like check, check, list, list. But how can you really remember that what you do matters? And one other thing that was I saw one time from Adam Grant, he said, at the heart of meaningful work is the belief that your job makes someone else's life better. So when that belief gets shaken, list the names of the people who would be worse off if you didn't show up that day. And this could be work, this could be home, anything. It could be unloading the dishwasher. The people and the names that you list are the reason why your work matters. And so I think so much of it is like less about the accomplishments of it all and more about fusing it to the human behind it, which I will admit is not easy. And it's like an active habit that you have to form.
But I think that you did give us something really practical, because if it really means sometimes sitting down with a pen and a piece of paper and saying, if I weren't here, or if I wasn't doing this thing,
Yeah,
these are the people who
that
would
would be,
be
yeah.
deeply suffering right now.
Yeah. And another kind of test you can give yourself that I talk about in Chasing the Bright Side is call it the purpose test. And you can do it right now and while we're listening.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So take the thing that you're chasing right now, maybe something that's like the goal that you have, if I can just get this, or something that you're working really hard on. Imagine that you got it, that it's yours, but no one knew it was you. You had to remain anonymous. You couldn't tell anyone, you couldn't post about it, you couldn't share. Would you still do it? Would it still be something that you would pursue full speed? There's a lot of things that I feel like I have chased that I realize was just for how it looked and not how it felt. And so it's kind of sometimes a helpful gut check when I'm like really trying to go after something. And I'm like, if I got this and I couldn't tell anyone, would I still do it? So it's just a helpful test.
I've been thinking about that because I have seen there was I don't know if it was Instagram or the socials, somewhere on the socials.
Yeah, somewhere in the
I
social
saw you
universe.
ask that question and I thought, so good, so good. And it really does. It kind of calls you out, right?
Yeah.
It calls
And
you out.
I all the time, which is why I created it. But it's so easy because you mentioned socials, like that's literally how we're becoming wired is like, how well will this be liked by others? And we get
Yeah.
numbers for it.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to not pay attention to how we're being perceived or how well we feel like we belong. But it's just how deep in that do you really get?
I used to be a television news anchor and people would say to me, why did you quit? And I said, because I stopped caring about being on TV. It didn't matter. anymore.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
for a
great answer.
long time, I needed my face to be on TV. Now here I'm on a podcast, so, but I swear
But
that's just because I
for
really,
you, what was the difference between, what's the difference for you between how you treat TV and how you treat your podcast?
it is the spotlight versus the lighthouse that I have heard you talk about. So the
Thank
spotlight
you.
meant that I wanted initially when I was, in my 20s, and I wanted that spotlight on me. I wanted people to look at me, and
Right.
then I wanted them to hear me and blah. And now every time before I get on a podcast, or before I speak or write something or whatever, I just desperately want to either make the other person look good, like let them shine,
Yeah.
so that whatever they have to say can ripple out to other people and help other people. Or I just want the people on the other side of the voice, or the other side of whatever they're reading, to get that pep talk I was talking
Yeah.
about, that they leave feeling better because of an interaction of something that I helped to create.
I love that. And it's like you're still using the same superpower that you have of talking and interviewing others, which clearly you're fantastic at. It's just a shift of
Thanks.
why you do it. Yeah, which I thank you for mentioning the Spotlight Lighthouse. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good, because it does again. And I think it gives, going back to the mic drop workshop, I think that it gives those women who are looking at all the other women and saying, I couldn't possibly do what she does, or my voice doesn't matter. And it takes the shift and off of themselves, and puts it on the audience, and says,
Yes.
what do you have to give? Because you have something to give. You're not showing up to get,
Yeah.
go give.
Yes. And I think the other thing that I want women to know about speaking or sharing your story is that being relatable doesn't make you unreliable. I think a lot of times we think that, well, I have to go up there and I have to have this like viral thing, or I have to be this like gajillionaire, or I have to have a library named after me. And a lot of times, like, we're looking for people who we can relate to and be able to connect the dots between like where we're sitting in the audience to where you're standing on stage. Of course, there are speaking spots for celebrities and these like ultra successful people. And usually conferences are trying to find a balance of speakers that have a relatable message and a story. Well, I just don't know if I have had enough happen in my life, or I don't know if I've reached enough success. There's someone out there that needs exactly what you have to say. And so don't deprive them of that message because you think that there's this like invisible milestone or goalpost that you have to hit in order to do it. You kind of learn in the process, not in the planning of it. I think my like talk has become further developed. Each rep you kind of give, you go back and say, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And, I didn't start off on these huge stages. You get there, but you got to start somewhere.
Right, right. So speaking of starting somewhere, let's give women really give them a little roadmap. Like if someone
Sure.
is listening to this and they're like, okay, this is my sign. I need to use my voice. I need to start speaking. I have no idea where to start speaking. What should they do?
So the first thing that I would do is I would create what we call in Mic Drop Workshop a transformation promise. And this is for you to get clarity on how you want to help other people through your speaking. And so it goes like this. It's a fill in the blank. After people hear me speak, they will blank. So what's a desired outcome, goal? I like to do a visualization for this. Like you just spoke and you got a standing ovation and you're watching people go to their car or talk to their spouse or the other people. What do you want them thinking and feeling and doing differently after having heard you? So it's not about what you're speaking on. It's about the aftermath of you speaking. So after people hear me speak, they will blank. They will learn to communicate better. They will be kind to other women. They will feel confident at work, whatever it might be, because my talk will blank. Is it going to tell your story? Is it going to teach a framework? Is it going to explain the significance of? What's the method and how you want them to get there? And so your transformation promise is really going to be your North Star in how you build your keynote, how you talk about your keynote, because it's always going to go back to that lighthouse analogy that we talked about of less about you and more about how you help others. So that would be first step transformation promise. And then something really small that you can do is changing your bios. Like if you want to start putting yourself out there as a speaker, put the word speaker in your bio on LinkedIn or in Instagram. And so much about this is just letting people know you do this. I came to the terrible realization years ago that people are not actively thinking about me.
I hate that about people.
Isn't that the worst? Yeah, no one's wondering how they can give me money today. So I have to tell them how they can give me money. I have to tell them how I can work with them. And so by saying like speaker, motivational speaker, keynote speaker, whatever you want to put, you're letting people know that this is what I can do for you. And the great part about that is usually if they do book you to speak, you're going to have months in advance. And so if they book you to speak and you haven't built your talk yet, that is like, I equate it to when you have like guests coming over on a certain date is when you know you have to clean your house and you get it done.
I don't do it until I invite people over.
Exactly. Most of our students say, okay, I have a keynote, December 15th, so I have to build this talk now.
That's great. That's awesome. Hey, what else do you want to share? What do you want people to know about you? How do you want people to connect?
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, we do have we have a boot camp coming up in January that helps you create that transformation promise, that helps you figure out what you want to be known for. So if this is something you're even just the slightest bit curious about, it's a great way to just kind of get your feet wet. So you can go to micdropworkshop.com and sign up for our boot camp. And Nicole, I'll also give you a link as well for that. Yeah.
Great. We'll put that in the show notes so people have that. Okay.
Perfect. Awesome. But yeah, and then I also send out a hype text every Monday, 11 a.m., a thought or a quote for your week. So you can text me the word hype to 704-228-9495. And
I signed up for it. Should we see if it came through yet?
Oh, yeah. Wait, it's
Nope, hasn't come through yet. Oh, yes, it has.
Yay.
Yes, it has.
Oh, good. Good. Let's
It's
see.
right here. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Optimism. It's about optimism. This is great. Oops, my AirPod's falling out. Okay. Optimism isn't pretending everything's fine. It's looking at the mess, rolling up your sleeves, and saying, we can build something from this.
Yes. This is, I hate that it was a repeat of what we talked about, but, maybe it's a sign. Yeah.
I think it is. I think people needed to hear that 2, 3, 4, 5 times today.
Yeah.
It is out there. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jess. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Nicole.
And thank you everyone for listening and for joining in this conversation with Jess Ekstrom. I hope that this reminded you that kindness shows up in the way that we lift each other up, cheer each other on, and believe in each other's ideas long before they ever come to fruition or they're polished or they're proven. If someone came to your mind while you were listening to this, would you please share this with them? And as always, remember, what we look for is what we'll see. Have a great day.